Hello, hello. So this is the decider between Genie and Radiowaves. This is Genie down in the bottom of the map, and this is Radiowaves, the Zerg, up in the top of the map. In game one, Genie played a very defensive style and built a lot of cannons at the door to his natural expand, and had just a handful of units that he used to hold that front while he tacked up to carriers. Radiowaves was the more aggressive player, pushing with lings, pushing with roaches, but failing to break down that front door, and when the time came, had no answer to the carriers. Game 2, however, we saw from Radiowaves an excellent Nidus worm into the back of Genie's men, who had gone for a similar sort of style with cannons at the front door and enough units to hold a frontal attack, but didn't react in time to the Nidus worm round the back, and Radiowaves was able to unload a sizable roach army into his opponent's base and take the game. So here we are at one game apiece. It seems to me like Genie is playing pretty standard. It has got an early forge down, does seem to like the early forge with cannons. The gateway just building, and when the gateway's finished, undoubtedly we'll see a side core come down. Meanwhile, the Zerg pulled before hatch, so no expand yet, and mining gas, mining a lot of gas. By the time this pull finishes, look, Radiowaves is going to have enough gas to research speed straight away. So let's see if he does that. He does. So it looks to me like this is going to be an early, a bit of early ling pressure. Now, where's the side core? No side core coming down for the Zerg player. That's well, just weird, really. You know, the side core, you need the side core for just about everything. If I click on this gateway, you can see that it can build zealots and nothing else. Everything else requires the side core and potentially some other tech as well. So Protoss can't really build anything other than zealots without a side core. This forge, of course, does allow cannons, so static defenses can come down. I wouldn't be surprised now to see a cannon go in behind this pylon. That's the sort of pretty useful place for it. It can't be surrounded or anything by stuff that comes up the ramp. So the Zerg has got the expand down, and that has started to build. That will be finished, therefore, significantly before the Protoss expand. A couple of lings in production, and lair being researched as well. Researched, evolved, whatever. Mutated, I suppose, is the right phrase. These larvae are ready to cook. I'm not sure why they're not building already. Here we go. So 10 lings in production already, some on the map. Speed has finished. I think as soon as these lings pop out, this Zerg is going to walk across the map and try and get in. Unfortunately, he is going to find that he cannot get through the front door. Hopefully this zealot is on hold position. If you are doing a build like this where you've got a wall with a gap just 1 unit wide and you park a zealot in the gap, you have to, it's not on hold position, you have to make sure the zealot is on hold position. If it's not, then a ling can run up, the zealot will run out to attack the ling. You know, just park your ling about here, the zealot will run to attack it, and then the rest of the lings can run past. So it's got to be on hold to make sure nothing can sneak past it. So these lings have come out, but no movement yet from the Zerg. Now, I'm not really sure about that. You know, why have these lings if you're not going to be active on the map with them? You know, at 3.5 minutes, there's nothing very substantial you're going to see from the Protoss. You know, the one thing you might see at about this time is an Oracle, and we actually already have the Spore Crawler in the mineral line. So, you know, playing very well at the moment, Radiowaves. The Hydra Den comes down, the Roach Warren comes down. And the Evo chamber, so a lot of text popping up. A second spore, so he suspects air. You know, generally one spore in the middle of the mineral line is enough to see off an Oracle, and this early in the game, that's all you're really going to see that's going to be of any sort of worry to you. Okay, so the Protoss has got his expand done now. Notice on this map in both bases, the expand is actually out the back, so a very, very safe expand. So really, I'd like to see the expo come down a bit sooner. Okay, 2 cannons in the mineral line for the Protoss player, and that's not a crazy plan. If lings do get past your wall, having cannons in the mineral line, well, very much sorts them out. Again, a single cannon in the middle is really all you need, certainly at this early stage of the game. A little bit later into the game, when you might be thinking Mutalisks are coming or something like that, at that point you may well decide to throw down more than one cannon. So Overlord speed has been researched by the Zerg, didn't see that one. And with the Evo chamber, he is able to mutate these overlords so that they can carry units. This overlord has already done that and is full of lings. So it looks to me like he is aiming for this sort of area. He's going to drop lings in here. If he's got an overlord in position, and he does, the sight range on overlords is good, so it would be worth just skirting around the edge to find the best place to drop the lings. You want it to be as lit as possible before your opponent sees them. So out come the lings. They're going to start working on this pylon. Don't know about that. I'd get them into the mineral line as quickly as possible. The Protoss is not reacting to it at present. He needs to react to that. Send the mothership core, send whatever you need, send something to deal with it, but don't leave your front door open. That zealot on hold command is all you need. I guess Radiowaves was hoping that this Stalker is going to fall. That's a juicy little prize for these lings. They can just pick that off, no problem. Stalker's not great against speedlings. Certainly not out in the open. So I kind of thought that Radiowaves would maybe do a two-pronged attack with some lings in the natural and hope for the best that the Protoss moved his units away from the front door and then try and run in through the front door. That's not what he's done. But this Overlord that is able to carry stuff is still alive. So, I'd like to see him maybe ferrying some units into this area and just trying to pull the Protoss apart a little bit. Production tab, meanwhile, shows that the Zerg is transitioning out of lings and into Roach Hydra. Roach Hydra is incredibly potent. Very much in fashion at the minute among Zergs. Roaches and Hydras are pretty much all you need to kill the world. So yeah, why wouldn't you? Why wouldn't you go Roach Hydra? This Overlord is coming back for another go. The pylon just finishing up here. These Stalkers should be able to deal with everything as it comes out. The lings are coming out one at a time and dying pretty much as they come out. The Oracle can help clear up the lings if necessary, but he's, instead of killing lings, he's decided to focus on that Overlord, which sort of removes the problem. You don't need to pull the workers for 3 lings. Those cannons would kill the workers before, kill the lings before they would kill any workers. Okay, you see, again, grabbing everything, dangerous. Leave that Zealot on hold position, on hold all the time. Okay, Stargate is finished. Twilight Council is finished. We have the Forge here being chronoed despite not building anything, but the production tab, look, is very, very empty. You've got 800 minerals, 200 gas. That buys a lot of stuff. So, but nothing's building at present. So Dark Shrine comes down. Photon cannons coming down to protect this area from any further Overlord drops or anything like that. And a second Stargate. But you're not building anything out of the first Stargate. Why do you need a second one? Meanwhile, over in Zergland, still Roaches and Hydras building. +1 attack is being researched. That's missile attack. So, things hotting up. Things are hotting up. Let's have a peek at the army supplies. Seriously, well, fairly in favour of Radiowaves. But I wonder if I just look at the active forces tab, yeah, about double the army value is what we've got going on there. So is he going to be mounting an attack anytime soon? Yeah, he still, he started the missile attacks, and you wouldn't attack before that was done. You don't start that you don't start an upgrade to kick in on the walk home. These units are going to move out to clear this Overlord out of the way. I don't know that Overlord would bother me. My next expo would be down here personally. The gold can be tempting, but it's worth remembering you don't get more money total from a gold expand. You just get a quicker rate of income. And yeah, it's only slightly quicker really. You get more per worker run, but there are less mineral patches, so this is saturated with 12 workers as opposed to the 16 workers that saturate one of these. So that does mean if you expand into the gold, you can saturate it much more quickly, so you get a rapid sort of spike in your income. It also means it will mine out more quickly. These mineral patches because they're mined quicker, don't last as long. Because the workers return, I think, 7 minerals per run rather than 5. Okay, production tab looking busy for Radiowaves. Going up to Hive, has the third coming down, still building roaches and hydras. Let's have a look at the army supply now. It's growing all the time. Worker supply dead even. Both players have stopped building work. Oh no, it's a lie. Radiowaves just still building the odd drone. This, however, not saturated. So if I look at the income tab, well, actually roughly even, so that kind of tells me that Genie hasn't saturated this either, and he has not. So really, you know, only on 2 bases, and neither of them, well, your natural not yet saturated. No excuse to be stopping building workers. These DTs, you know, I'd have them in here. Is that going to pull the Zerg army home? It looks like it is. He's not messing about. He has a lot of overseers, so he's going to see these off very quickly, but this hatch will fall, and that is very tasteful indeed. Denying that third, a very, very useful thing to do. A little bit expensive though, probably unnecessary to lose 4 DTs for that. You know, the cost of 4 DTs and 2 Zealots is significantly more than the cost of this 300 mineral hatch. However, the lost mining time sniping that hatch, you know, still that is a plus for the Protoss player as it works out. Okay, 3 stalkers here doing random stuff. A couple of DTs randomly in the middle of the map just hanging out. And you know, DTs are useful things. You know your opponent has a lot of overseers. You know that you probably can't get into the base with those. So I think I'd probably just have them patrolling maybe these areas, so that if a worker appears to plant a hatch, it just gets sniped without you really having to think about it. At home, 1 Void Ray has been made. There are, of course, these... Oh, sorry, 2 Void Rays have been made. There is a double starports back here, so... you know, you can crank out air units pretty quickly. The fleet beacon finishes, which will enable Tempests, it will enable carriers, and presumably we're going to see one of those too. The only other reason for having a fleet beacon really is that it enables the higher level air upgrades, but since he hasn't upgraded to level 1 yet, I don't think that's his purpose. If you were using it for the Phoenix upgrade, well then you'd have built some Phoenix. So, I don't know, still nothing in production though. Zerg is coming, so let's have a look. I think well, this trail of pylons, he's going to find this over here, and I think he has plenty to deny this. There is nothing really that the Protoss can do to save this, so he needs to cancel that and get his money back, or at least most of it, because there is no well. These 2 stalkers and 1 Void Ray are not going to be able to hold this. Turn the voids around, man, run, because that's suicide here. That's just a wasted Void Ray. They're not gonna... Oh, not the mothership core. Oh, and everything comes. No, this is an error. Go home. You know, you could probably defend your base. I'd recall out of there, man. You're gonna lose all of this stuff. There's way too much Zerg here. Although some force fields seriously disrupting the Zerg attack, and some of these units shooting a building when really they need to be shooting this stuff. But you know, there was no hope that the Protoss could beat that army, so he should have stayed at home. He could have defended this position very well. The mothership core had pylons to overcharge. You know, force fields in this area can just deny all sorts of stuff. These buildings right at the edge are going to suffer, and that's a real shame. So you need to warp stuff in from these gateways before they fall. This Void Ray isn't going to last long against that many Hydras. I don't know, this might be curtains for the Protoss. I'm not sure what he can do here really. There's too many overseers. DTs aren't going to be of any use to you. These corrosive bars coming down are just wrecking everything. Yeah, so it's pretty much all over but for the dancing. I don't know if you could try and focus. Yeah, there's no hope of killing that many overseers. Force fields would have been very useful. Force fields could have just kept this stuff out. And yeah, okay, you'd have lost the buildings at the edge, but you know, you could buy yourself an almost infinite amount of time with you know, 3 or 4 sentries just churn force fields. But that's not what's happened, and it looks like Radiowaves is going to take this third and final game. Oh look, there they are. Look, yay! Is he going to try and force field them out of here? That's not going to be as useful really, but you know, he's still got a reasonable amount of production in the back here, but none of it's doing anything. He's not building anything. You know, money in the bank. Here come a couple of DTs. They're not going to be of much use. You know, I guess turning them into Archons would be useful. So I'm expecting the GG pretty shortly. Radiowaves isn't making any mistakes. Despite being all up in his opponent's base, he is remembering to continue to build stuff. Very important. You know, never assume that it's over until it's over. Don't take your finger off the throttle until you see the GG. Even actually seeing the GG, don't take your finger off the throttle until you see the victory screen. Yeah, basically. You know, people can, you never know, maybe your opponent's got like some sort of ninja hidden over here and is rapidly dropping gateways. Take your finger off the throttle and all of a sudden you're wide open to some sort of counter-attack. This gateway finishes up, but you know, it isn't going to make any difference. This forge isn't going to do anything. These workers definitely aren't going to do anything. I don't know where he's off to. He's just running away from the fight. He's just, I have enough. I don't even like you. I don't even like Hydralisks. He's going to get a couple of kills, because the Overseers are all the way over here, but it's going to take him a very long time to clean up this entire army. And once he gets within range of the Overseers, he's going to die very, very quickly indeed. So GG. Radiowaves. Genie couldn't concentrate. Probably because of all the Zerg stuff that was killing his base, I guess. Yeah. Cool beans. GG. Radiowaves wins.